Whoops, my bad. I totally did not see that the timer ended. Oh, that's on me. I was looking up something in the background for the stream. That's what I was doing. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the long-awaited, much delayed My Hero Academia Season 7 My Hero Academia Season 7 discussion stream. I was supposed to do it 2 weeks ago when Season 7, actually ended. But then as I said in the community tab post, I was not feeling great that night. And I would have rather delayed the stream and done it later and risked not being, I'm not in the hip trendy thing, and have a better stream. So hence why it's this weekend instead of 2 weeks ago. But that also kind of worked out if you want to find the silver lining here. Now the dub is finished, so more people can actually watch the stream now because the dub is finished, and we're getting all the dub people in. So I actually did watch the last episode dubbed today. But before we go any further, let me give you guys an overview, bird's eye view of where we're going tonight. So, general discussion about Season 7. You guys can drop questions in the chat, drop your opinions, hot takes, whatever you feel like putting in there. We'll go over that. Oh no. John Bass has a surprise for me. Oh no. Now I'm worried. So, yeah, we're going to be going over general discussion. Like I said, feel free to drop any thoughts, feelings, comments, questions, concerns in the chat, and I'll go over them. And then what we are going to do, and I'll show you guys here real quick, is I have a tier list for all of the episodes of Season 7. And we're going to go through all of Season 7 and do a tier list of all the episodes. And then what I also want to do is go over, I also made a tier list for all 7 seasons, so we can go through and rank all of the seasons. And then after that, if we have time, because I do kind of have a hard cutoff tonight, depending on what time we get finished, we'll go through and do the one-shot manga that Horikoshi did for the movie. And then I'll also, again, if we have time, I will also dive into talking about the movie a little spoiler-free. So the Season 7 section is going to be full spoilers. That's kind of the whole point of the discussion, so I'll get that out of the way now. But the movie, if I talk about the movie, I will keep it very spoiler-free, and that'll be towards the end. So if people haven't seen the movie yet, you can just you can watch the Season 7 stuff at the beginning and then dip out when we talk about the movie. So, and I'll try to timestamp all of that in post. This is also the first of this kind of live stream where it's more discussion based than anything else. So we'll see how it goes. I want to do more like this, and it just felt like My Hero was the perfect opportunity to do that. I was supposed to do one for all of the summer anime that I was watching and go over those and talk about Oshinoko. What else did I watch this summer? Oshinoko, Tower of God, Wisteria, Wand and Sword. Alia Sometimes Hides Her Feelings in Russian. What else did I watch this summer? No Longer Allowed in Another World. The Elusive Samurai. I was gonna do a stream and talk about all of those, and then I didn't end up finishing half of them. I still haven't finished Elusive Samurai. I still haven't finished Wisteria. Tower of God is still ongoing. I talked about Alia briefly in my ranking of every anime I've ever seen. Same for No Longer Allowed in Another World. Oshinoko, I think, is going to end up getting its own video down the line. I have 2 Oshinoko videos planned for some time in the future. Probably December, because I'm currently, here's a little behind the scenes for people who are here live or watching the VOD, I guess, and I said it on Twitter, I have about 2 weeks of, or not 2 weeks, I have about 2 months of videos planned out. And I have a little Google Docs sheet that has all of the dates that videos are supposed to go out and then what video is supposed to go there. And that helps me because I can do a lot in the scripting area. And you know what I'm going to do? Since I'm going to be here for a while, let me figure out how to put chat on screen. Give me like 2 seconds and I'll put you guys on screen. Do not abuse this power though, for being on screen. I would trust you guys to not do that. And then we're going to interact if it'll let me. No? Okay, thank you. Turn that on. There we go. Okay, now is it going to let me do the interact thing now that it's visible? Yes. Okay, I'm going to do that. There we go. Okay. All right, chat's on screen. Let me actually move you down like that. Just so the sign into chat's not on there. Okay. So, chat's on screen now. So, people on the VOD can see. Just in case I forgot to turn on live chat replay. Actually, let me make sure I did that. Yeah, whatever. Okay, jeez. Oh, I forgot I can tag products now because I have it linked to the podcast store. I can link products because I'm usually wearing podcast merch anyway. Okay, let's see. Please tell me I have live chat replay. Okay, good. I do have live chat replay on. Look at me go. I was ready. I was set. I was trying to make sure it's on. Okay. Anyway, back to what I was talking about. What was I talking about? Oh, so I have videos about 2 months out, organized, everything like that. So I need to figure out, once I finish the next script, because I try to script out video, like 1 video a week. Once I finish that, I'm into December videos, and that's crazy to me. Because it feels like just yesterday that I was, like, it was April, and we were just starting this whole, like, kit and caboodle, and now it's like, oh, it's almost Christmas, almost Thanksgiving and Halloween, and of course you can forget the greatest holiday of all time, Black Friday. Got to get those deals, you know what I'm saying? So, yeah, I am very excited for Wednesday's video. I'll tell you that. It goes out to early access with members tomorrow, I think. And I say I think like I'm not the one who's doing all the scheduling and stuff. So I'm very excited for this week's video. It's one that I've been wanting to make and wanting to have out there for a while. Because it's like, I don't want to say too much. I don't want to give it away. But I am very excited about it. So, that being said, also, this just like randomly hit me in the head. This tier list, by the way, this one and, okay, fine, be that way. And the season tier list are both, they're my tier list template that I made. And both of them are linked in the description if you want to make your own version of the tier list and do your own thing. So what do you think? Should we start with general discussion about season 7 or do it as we go along here? What do you guys think? So because I can do general discussion now, or I can do it as I'm going through the episodes and just kind of give my thoughts on each one. So we'll start with the general season 7 discussion. Okay, I'll stay on this screen just because I feel like it. And it breaks things up a little bit. So, season 7 overall. I was a little worried. I'm not even going to lie. I was very skeptical and a little nervous because I'm not the biggest fan of season 6. Because from like what season 6 covered in the first war arc up until the end of the manga, that's my favorite stretch. So like very end of Act 2, like, and then all of Act 3 is like my favorite parts of the manga, except like with the exceptions of like the overhaul arc and the culture festival arc, like that kind of stuff. So I was really excited for season 6. I was like, okay, here we go. They're going to adapt some of my favorite fights. And then season 6 came out, and I was not loving how season 6 turned out, because they started off really strong, and I've talked about this before in another video. Season 6 started off really strong, and then the more we got into it, it kind of like tapered off towards the middle, and then they brought it back at the end, which would have been fine. I think a lot of my personal gripe with it comes from the fact that one of my favorite like set of chapters where Deku and Shigaraki really have like their first encounter was not adapted well. Those have always been some of my favorite panels that Horikoshi has ever drawn. That is my favorite fight, and just the way it got adapted was not great. And I didn't love that. So for them to fumble that part of the adaptation, and then, I mean, I think the Dark Hero arc was adapted fine. The Lady Nagan fight was really good. They did an incredible job with the episode where Uraraka like gets on the building and does her thing and talks about Deku, and I think they ended the season really well. And it was a mixed bag. And when I went back and rewatched it, it wasn't as bad as I initially thought it was. I did feed into a lot of the like Twitter negativity, and something I did different for season 7 that I think has dramatically altered how I feel about this season is I did not get on Twitter and look at anything anyone had to say until I watched the episode. So there were some Saturdays where I was not on Twitter until like afternoon, evening, because I didn't get to watch the episode until then. And I was like, I'm not going to do this again, because if Twitter thinks it's a bad episode, that's going to influence my perspective going into it and watching it and forming my own opinion. And I did the exact same thing with Demon Slayer this season too. And those two things have dramatically altered how I feel about both of those seasons, but My Hero especially, because I was able to go in, form my own opinion, and then from there be able to sit back and be like, okay, how do I feel about this episode? How do I feel about that episode? So yeah, overall, I think season 7, and the thumbnail kind of gave this away, is I think My Hero Academia season 7 is the best season they've done thus far. And is that fair to say with it having like 4 less episodes than a normal season? Sure, I guess. Also, I totally neglected to put the Memories episodes on this tier list because technically they're not part of season 7. At least they're not listed that way on Crunchyroll. And they're also just recap filler episodes, and I see why now that we only got 21 episodes. So they technically had a full 25 episode run. It just got broken up with the Memories episodes, and I think those were fine. They were cool. They added some cool shots in there, and I think that is what started to give me a lot more hope for this season, was seeing how the recap episodes were directed and handled, and how they really leveled up the cinematography and the direction, and how they chose to package certain aspects of the recap, because there were 4 recap episodes. One was Deku and Shigaraki. The other one was All Might and All for One, and then Uraraka and Toga, and Dabi and Shoto. I think that was how they broke those up. And I think those episodes were phenomenal. Like, I watched all 4 of them, but about halfway through, people started asking me, like, should I watch these? And I'm like, no. If you're caught up, no. Like, no. So, yeah, the recap episodes were fine. And also, I'm going to take a break here to say hello to everyone new who joined chat. Max York and HKO, welcome to chat. We're talking about My Hero. I did see you guys. I didn't forget. I just didn't want to sidetrack myself. So, yeah, season 7 overall, I think it's the best season we've had thus far. And I don't know. It just blew me away. And Studio Bones had a very, I mean, they went 21 for 21. What can I say? Every episode was good. There was not a single bad episode this season. And I've seen a lot of discourse on Twitter of like, oh, well, this episode had this still frame and it had CGI and I'm like, okay, let's look at this in the broader context of, one, the season, and two, the production schedule. Because if you think about it, an episode, like you have episode 13, right? Which is the big like Deku Shigaraki gear shift fight that was animated incredibly. And then you have episodes 14 and 15 that do have a decent amount of, you know, there were some still frames in there. There was some like limited animation in there. There was some CGI in there. And then we get episode 16, which also has some incredible animation that looks great. And it's like, okay, we have to understand that just because they needed to lean into that and have those aspects of it does not mean they're bad episodes. So, yeah, it's just really interesting to see how people think. So for me personally, like I said, I love this arc so much. I love the final war arc, and I will talk about season 8 a little bit. Not spoiler, but like I do have some thoughts about that because that was kind of surreal to see 2 weeks ago. But where do I want to go from here? So I just think they adapted this arc so well. And I mean, obviously they're not done with it because this arc technically goes until the end of the series. So they still have, I think, let me do some quick math here. We're going to look up My Hero Academia chapter list. I think there's 32 chapters left. I'm not going to show it on screen because I don't want to spoil anything for the anime onlys. I just want to get a number of how many chapters. Okay, so we go from 399 to 430. So 32 chapters, I think. So yeah, we got 32 chapters left. And that's all going to be done in season 8, which is honestly historic. Like, they don't even need 12 episodes. They need like 10. And that's being conservative. So I'm interested to see how they pace next season. But I'll come back to that. I can't talk about season 8 yet. So yeah, they adapted this arc phenomenally. And that's what I was looking for personally, was how did I feel about the way this season was adapted and the way this season felt to me. Not how does Twitter feel about it? How do these other people, how does the internet feel about it? No, how do I feel about this season? And that's what I'm here to talk about. So we'll just go ahead and jump into the ranking, and a lot more thoughts will come up as we go through the ranking. So, I mean, starting off season 7, episode 1, I think is a pretty solid. Okay, well, first of all, I'm going to change some of these colors because I hate these colors so much. Let me do, there we go. Now we're cooking. There we go. All right. I'm not going to do double S, but John Bass, I've really enjoyed this season. There's been a bit of what I like to call slow building, but overall it's been fun to watch each hero have their moment. Yeah, and that's kind of the whole purpose of this season and this arc is it's the final war arc, so it's meant to be wrapping everything up and bringing all of those things to a close. So, and I mean, we see that with like the Uraraka and Toga fight at the end of the season, or the Shoto and like the whole Todoroki family thing at the end of the season. Like that's what that's about. So yeah, as I was saying, I really need my computer to stop doing that. Okay. So season 7, episode 1, I think it's B. It was good. It was a really good start. And I think something that was different is everyone complains about the pesky blue sky, if you will, in My Hero. And something they did was they at least made it dynamic, and they added shading, and they did like other stuff, and they played a lot with the lighting and the mood and the setting. And I think that's what this first episode, I was like, oh, we are so back. Like, okay, Bones, I see you can lock in when you choose to. I get it. I understand. So season 7, episode 1, I give it a B. Season 7, episode 2, I think this one it's B, but it was still better than episode 1. Mainly because, you know, the US just comes in and just nukes Shigaraki. Oh, John Bass, don't worry. I'm gonna go on the Toga spiel when we get to that episode, because I have a lot of thoughts about that, and I will save it for that episode. So yeah, episode 2 I thought was better, and that's just me. And I don't know, I was very simple animation brain. Like, I liked the way it looked, and we were getting closer to, you know, the stuff I actually wanted to see. Not to say that I didn't like the Star and Stripe stuff. I did. I think she's an incredibly important character. Well, okay, incredibly important might be a bit of an overstatement. She's an important character, and just because she died in episode 2 does not make her... It does not make her irrelevant as a character, because she did significantly put a damper on Shigaraki, because he was essentially ready to go. But then in the arrogance of him and All For One going out to fight her, thinking, oh, this will be easy, I'm just going to steal her quirk and then we win. And then she's like, just kidding, I'm going to like completely nuke you and nerf you for like an extra 3 days. So yeah, she's an important character, and it was very interesting to see all of the takes come back around when the episode came out. It was like, oh, Star and Stripe was a wasted character, most overpowered quirk, and Horikoshi had to kill her because her quirk was so overpowered. And I'm like, okay. But also, I think she could do 3 orders at once, and she had 2 of them applied on herself, which meant she only had 1. So, is it really that overpowered? Is it? No. So, I like her. She's cool. Season 7, episode 3. Oh, this is the Aoyama one. So, the UA Trader stuff was wild to read through in the manga, and I think they did a phenomenal job with this episode specifically, which is why I have to give it our first A tier. Because, let's just be real. It's a good episode. And all of the voice actors nailed it. And they just directed it so well. And it's kind of like a bittersweet, heartbreaking episode, really. I don't know. It's just, it's sad, but also, like, there's still that hopeful side where Deku's like, hey, I know you did this bad thing, but that doesn't make you a villain. That just makes you someone who messed up. And there's still, like, if you really want to change, you can. And you can still be a hero. And, like, just that whole message is the pinnacle of My Hero Academia, okay? It's peak. That's what it's all about. So, I don't have much else to say about it. What is episode 4? Ugh, the IMDb description. Okay, I need to go to Crunchyroll instead, because the IMDb descriptions, I'm trying to like re-jog my memory on some of these earlier episodes, and the IMDb descriptions are an episode behind, which is not helpful. Okay. Okay, good. We got it right. We got it right now. Okay. So 1, 2, 3, 4. It's the story of how we became heroes. Oh yeah, this is a good episode. I mean, I don't remember that much about it though. I know Hatsume was in it because I put her there. I mean, it's all right. I'll put it in B. I'll put it in B for now. We're gonna have a lot of S tiers. I'll tell you that right now. Because I don't know. That's just me. Yeah, episode 4 is cool. Hatsume came back. We got to see Deku's new outfit. I think they moved into the dorms in this one. I'm trying to remember what happened. I'm pretty sure this is the one where they moved into the dorms. I think. So, you know, TY, you're so right. It is C. Now that I think about it, I can't justify putting it in B. I just have such a hard time. Like, C feels like it's bad, but it's really not. Episode 5. This is the one where things kind of get kicked off and a little crazy. But this is also the Izuocha episode. Is it not? Just kidding. I'm going to pull up all the episodes on Crunchyroll and skim through them so I actually know what I'm talking about. Fake fan. I wanted to go back and watch the whole season before the stream, but I didn't have time. I completely forgot. Okay, let me turn the volume off. I just need to like skim through and see what we're talking about. Okay, so that was the Dabi Toga thing, and then they're trying to set everything up. They're doing the training. They're moving into Troy. Yes, this is the one where Deku and Uraraka talk, and then they get it set up, and then at the end is when the war like actually starts. Okay, this one was good. I liked they added like some anime original scenes of like Bakugo saying goodbye to his parents, Deku talking to Eri and Kota and his mom, and like I thought it was good. I enjoyed it. I liked that like slightly original stuff. And I think that is another thing that Bones did this season that has like elevated the story as a whole is they picked really good times to add small anime original things that weren't in the manga. And there's like somewhat inconsequential stuff, like a couple like still frames here and there of Deku saying goodbye to people, or like, oh, we get to see Jiro talk to her parents and Uraraka talk to her parents, like just simple stuff like that that there wasn't space for it in the manga just because of how the panels are set up. But it was really nice to see them do that, and I really appreciated that. And I've never something I learned this season is I'm not a big stickler for adapting the manga panel for panel. And I saw a lot of people, or not a lot of people, but like I saw a couple people on Twitter talk about how, oh, well, this thing looks like a millimeter off from the manga panel, and it's actually F tier because it's not an exact one-for-one thing. And another complaint I saw was that they butchered Horikoshi's art this season, and I will never understand the people who complain that an anime adaptation doesn't look exactly like the manga. Like, if you want to compare an anime and a manga, that's not fair, because an anime has so many other things going on. Like, let's think about one episode of My Hero Academia, right? Roughly 22 to 25 minutes long, depending on the day. Some usually ends up around 24, right? They're adapting 3, maybe like 2.5, 3 chapters of content in that time frame, and they have to finish 21 of these 24-minute episodes in a year. Now, there's a lot to be said about production schedules in Japan and how animators are treated, and I'm not here to get into that, right? They should be given the proper time and everything they need to work on an episode the way they need to, right? But let's narrow it back down. 24-minute episode, about 3 chapters on average. That's a lot to fit into one thing. Now, let's look at one chapter of My Hero Academia. Anywhere between 15 to 20 pages. And Horikoshi has a substantial amount of time to focus on one chapter. And because it's not moving, and because it's just a drawing, you can put a lot more fine details into a drawing than you can something that's physically moving. Or not physically, but you know what I mean. Right? Like, animation is always going to be less than the manga. And I don't mean that in a how do I want to word this? I don't mean that in a bad way. What I mean is an anime adaptation is going to be different. It's going to not be a one-to-one adaptation of the manga, because I don't think that's what a lot of people want. And there are some people out there who, yeah, it is a really insane nitpick, right? To be like, well, it doesn't look exactly like the manga. Where? Go read the manga then. If it bothers you that much, just go read the manga. Don't watch the anime. And they'll say, well, I want to see it in motion, and I want to hear it with the music, and I want to hear the voice acting. It's like, okay, then you sign up for getting the animation that comes with that. Because at that point, you just want an audiobook, is what you want. You want a narrated audiobook that goes over your manga. So let's stop pretending that that's not what you want. So it's just an incredibly wild take that people will say that they like butchered Horikoshi's art, or the like, oh, but it doesn't look the same. And I honestly, I'll self-admit, I did a lot of that with season 6. But then between season 6 and 7, and after rewatching the entire series up till season 7 for the rewatch, right? I realized that an anime adaptation, and this goes for any series, not just My Hero, is just that. It's an adaptation. There's directors and screenwriters who are choosing what gets adapted and what doesn't, and how does this fit the overall narrative of the story that we're trying to tell in the anime. It's not going to be perfect. It's not. But you have to accept that they're different, and there is a difference between the two. And that's okay. It's okay for My Hero to not be a perfect adaptation, because it's never what it was supposed to be. It was just supposed to be an anime adaptation of a manga. And something I think a lot of anime fans also forget is that anime is a glorified advertisement for the manga. They don't make anime for the sake of making anime. They make anime so that you go out and buy the manga. That's why they make anime. So, should the adaptation be good? Yes, of course it should be good. You should want to have a good adaptation, but there's a difference between wanting to have a good adaptation and wanting a one-to-one PowerPoint presentation with voice acting and music of the manga that you're reading. I also accepted a long time ago that Horikoshi's art style and his skill level of drawing far outpaced Studio Bones. Right around like season 4, season 5, he's gone. He's like through the roof, and Bones is still like here. And they're like, we can't keep up with you, man. So it's, I don't know. That's just something that's always frustrated me, is that like, well, it doesn't look exactly like the manga. And it's like, okay, that's fine. And they can have their own creative spin on it. They can do, and I think something that also really highlighted this for me was Oshinoko Season 2. And not to like tangent here. Wow, episode 5 has like sent me on a spiral here. The first half of Oshinoko Season 2, where they're doing like all the play stuff, there's like 2 or 3 episodes where they talk about adapting a manga and all of the things that go into that. Now, I don't know how accurate this is. I'm going to assume for all intensive purposes that this is accurate, right? And there's all of these things, like the script for this play got sent back to the original author, and then she made her revisions, and it ran through like 10 people before getting back to the screenwriter. And it was a whole thing talking about how when you're making an adaptation, there are creative decisions that need to be made for the sake of adapting it to whatever you want to adapt it to. So, for example, Season 7, Episode 19, we'll come back to it in a minute, but there's a segment of that episode where it's Mr. Compress and the ice villain Gaten are in prison, and they're talking about the Himura bloodline, which is Todoroki's mom's family that she comes from. They talk about like I think it talked about like inbreeding and all of that kind of stuff that they were doing with that bloodline, and how it was essentially just as bad as what Endeavor was trying to do. So her family also was not guilt-free in that regard. But that section of the manga got cut from that episode. Now, let me ask you this. Does that make that episode any worse? Does that diminish that episode? Or because they looked at what they were trying to do with that episode, and they were trying to encapsulate this entire Todoroki plotline into one episode, I think they looked at that and said, okay, that can be cut. And that can be cut. And maybe because there was something else that got cut. They cut out like the heteromorph, the My Hero version of the KKK got cut from My Villain Academia, but then it got brought in a different section of Season 6. And I think what's going to end up happening is that section about the Himura bloodline that got cut out of this season is going to get moved back to Season 8, because I won't spoil anything, but there is a place where they could put it and it feel a little bit more natural than trying to shove it in this episode and kind of like shoehorn it in there, when that would have thrown off the pacing of the entire episode. And that goes back to like trying to do a one-to-one adaptation of the manga. Like, you have to shift things around for them to make sense for a viewer. And something they did in Season 5, man, I'm all over the place. And I don't like this decision, but not because they like, okay. So in Season 5, they switched around the Endeavor Agency arc and My Villain Academia, because it was supposed to be My Villain Academia, Endeavor Agency, and then into the First War. But they flipped those two. I don't agree with the reasoning, because the reasoning that they flipped it was because at the same time that was airing in the anime was when World Heroes Mission came out, and World Heroes Mission took place during the Endeavor Agency arc, and they had a whole filler episode in there that was tied into the movie, and I don't agree with that reasoning as to why they switched those arcs around, but upon rewatching it, it makes a lot more sense of putting them in that order, because you go straight from, much like Season 3 into 4, where they go from the provisional license exam to the overhaul arc where Deku does his internship. It's very much like training arc into internship. And that narratively makes a lot of sense. So that, I can understand that, like, if that was the reason they switched it around, was for narratively for it to flow a little better. But also then it meant that My Villain Academia got like put at the bottom of the priority list because it was at the very end of the season. And it just, I don't know. There's like, I can see the ups and downs with it. So that's another thing that goes back into the adaptation thing, was you have to be able to take a look at things and not just adapt the manga panel for panel, page for page, chapter for chapter. You have to be willing to say, okay, this doesn't make sense for us to put it in this episode here right now, because it would completely throw off the pacing. It would completely throw off the emotional vibes that we're trying to pull out here. So yeah, that's my spiel about not adapting manga one for one. and why you should let an anime adaptation be its own thing. That being said, wow, that was a long tirade on episode 5. Okay. Holy moly guacamole. Silver comments here. What's up? We're talking about My Hero. That's what we're doing. Black Prism, how's your day going so far? Pretty good. I got some videos recorded today. So those are ready to go off to the editing bay. Hung out with my mom a lot. So it was nice to, and we went out, went to some stores, ran some errands. So that was fun. What else did I do today? I worked out this morning and just kind of had a chill day. So it was pretty chill Saturday. I will say that. So and tomorrow's going to be a pretty chill day too. So I'm excited for that. And then Black Prism also says, you value this day at this moment. You choose to achieve your ambition by doing the very thing you love. Don't let anybody get in the way of your goals. Have a great day and enjoy life. Well, thank you. I sure do try to do those things. And I've spent a lot of time trying to just focus on today, because I'm a chronic over planner, as you can imagine by having 2 months of videos planned out. But I'm also trying to just focus on today, because the Bible talks a lot about just worry about today, because tomorrow has its own anxieties, and don't worry about yesterday, because yesterday is gone. So I've been trying to really apply that to my life and just focus on, okay, what can I do today? What can I get done today? And just so, that's what I've been trying to do. But I do appreciate that. And I try not to let anyone influence what I do or don't do, and not like you said, not get in the way of things I want to do. And it's been so interesting to talk positively about My Hero and even Demon Slayer to a certain extent, because those two shows just get so overhated so much. And I don't know, it's fun to talk positively about them, because that's how I feel, and I'm not gonna not say how I feel. So that is how life goes sometimes. I honestly wanted My Villain Academia to be delved into more. Yeah, I think it's handled well in the manga, and it was incredibly odd for Horikoshi to spend an entire arc just focusing on the villain. So I think it turned out really well. So we'll see how that goes. Or not see how that goes. I think it worked out well. John Bass got a promotion this week. Hey, that's exciting. And it's coming with a great raise. Well, congratulations. So I'm going to turn a few of these gray names green. Whoa! The 10 gifted subs. What the heck? Dang, we got holy cannoli. Whoa. That's wow. That was actually 10 people. Wow, that's crazy. So well, that's 10 new members. Thank you, John. You didn't have to do that, but I do appreciate that. And then I will also say, welcome to the memberships: Inferno Lycan, Brian C., Evelyn Whitlock, Kitty Liddy, Schizo Squad, Commander Bly, 5052, Ryder 1964, Voci, Vacu? I can't read. Just JC and Man S. Wow. Well, welcome to the live chat, or welcome to the memberships, guys. That's cool. That's crazy. You gifted 10 memberships? John, you didn't have to do that. Sorry, I just saw the price on the back end. You didn't have to do that. Well, thank you. That means a lot. That's great. We have so many. What does that put me at? 20 members now? Oh, can I go spam new emotes in the thing before YouTube tells me no? Let's see. I might be able to throw some new emotes in chat since we have new members. Oh, yep. YouTube already saw them. Okay. So, I need to figure out how to get these. Oh, you guys are all state alchemists too? That means everyone who is now a member, everyone who got gifted member tonight, will now have access and be able to watch Wednesday's video when it goes to members tomorrow. So, that's a little exciting, little bonus thing for you guys. So that's pretty sick. Okay, let me... How do I add more emotes? I know it's in here somewhere. Customize perks. Here we go. Emoji. I can add... How many... Okay, well, first of all, let me get them. Okay, I have to open Discord to get them, and I really hope Discord does not open on my main screen. Please do not open over... Oh, perfect. It did not. That's actually based. Okay, so we're going to go here. I do have new custom emojis that I got this week that I'm very excited to see. So we're going to... I should have done this... beforehand, but I didn't. But you know, that's on me. And then once I get these emojis in, we'll go back to rating the episodes and we'll keep moving there. One of them is My Hero related, so that'll that kind of works out. Okay. So I got those. All right, I don't need Discord anymore. Get out of here. Full Metal Alchemist. Full Metal Alchemist. All right, we're going to add another emoji. Select image. Go back here. Ugh, it's one character too long. Okay, we'll do that. Add another emoji. Select image. Oh, yeah, we got to do this one. YouTube might not like that one, but you know. All right, and then this is... Okay, and then I'm going to remove one of the emojis. What do you think, chat? Should I get rid of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure or the Edward Elric watch? I'll let you guys pick. Because one of them is going to go specifically just so I can get this fourth one in, because I got 4 new ones, and I'm going to take out one of the old ones for now. So what are we thinking? Edward Elric watch or the JoJo words? For context, it's one of those two. Okay, I see one for JoJo. You guys have like 10 seconds to pick, or I'm just going to do JoJo. 7, 8, 6, 5, 3, 4, 1, 2. Okay, all right, JoJo's it is. Let's see. Actually, I lied. I'm going to get rid of Ed Watch because it's going to make more sense. Who do I have in there? Is it that one? Yes. Okay. Okay. Save and publish. Okay. Everyone should theoretically have access to all of the new things now. I don't... Let me see if it updated. Oh, well, that makes sense. I don't have access to them on my phone because I'm not signed in with my account. That makes sense. Well, it's too late. Full Metal's gone. Okay. Where? What am I looking for here? Okay, thanks YouTube for completely bugging out on me. That's awesome. The Deku one is not what I wanted. Here we go. Okay, so these are the 4 new ones. I don't know if everyone has access to them yet. You might have to refresh the browser, potentially, for them to show up. So, which actually I'm going to do right now on OBS. Because that should fix it. So you guys might have to refresh the browser real quick. And then all the members should have access to those new emojis. I had them done custom. So as you can see, they are me. So that's pretty sick. I think you guys can use those. Can someone verify? Can members use stickers? Or not stickers. Can members use emojis in video comments? Because I think you can use them there, too. I might be wrong, though. Actually, wait, I lied. I think I've seen Zeke use the Deku one in a comment. So I'd imagine you can. So, anyway. Moving on. Continuing on with the My Hero Academia. Episode 6. Is going to be the one that we do next, which is when Monoma comes in, and we get a Monoma redemption arc, by the way. Not that he was ever unredeemed. I don't know. This episode was pretty solid as I'm skimming through it. Yeah, it was pretty all right. It was good. I'll give it high C for now. Yeah, I'll give it high C. Just because it was good, but it's not like, oh my goodness, I'm gonna go crazy for it. So, also, yeah, shout out to Wiki Silence on Twitter for making those emotes, by the way. He's goated for making those. They're very cool. Next episode, if I can look, please. Is this the one where Toga says the thing and then Deku like freaks out because he doesn't know what a date is? Because that's my goat. Just like me, for real. It is. Yeah, because he's like, a crepe date? What? I'm like, dude, honestly, me too, brother. Me too. And then Uraraka's like, all right, you gotta get the heck out of here. You gotta get cracking, brother. And he's like, yeah, you're right. All right, I'm gonna head out. Yeah, because he explains his dream date of like, oh, I'd love to go on an amusement park date and get crepes. And Uraraka's like, I don't know about. So he's my goat, just like me. I'll give it like middle of C, because aside from that moment, I was kind of not tuned out, but I was like, all right, stuff's happening. So after this is when we start to hit the legendary run of My Hero episodes. Okay, this is when we start, like, this is when Bones really locked in and said, all right, here we go. We are cooking. Because this was the Toya episode, and 2 Flash Fires is the name of the episode. So this one, S tier. I will go argue with the wall. Go pound sand. This is one of the best episodes of the season. And it's not even close. Just the way, because I went back and I read through this fight before it aired, and I was watching it, and I was like, or not watching, I was reading it, and I was like, dang, this is incredible. This is, wow. This is insane. And then I watched the episode because it was coming out a week later, and I was like, wow. Wow, okay. Yeah, all right. And I think this is the closest. I know I said they shouldn't try to replicate Horikoshi's art style because it's just too complex, and they don't have the production schedule for that. This episode is probably the closest they've come to doing that. And I don't know. I really love this episode. All the voice acting elevated it incredibly, and the animation is just gorgeous. And it's just, thank you, Bones, for delivering, okay? You guys got it. You got it on lock, man. You got it on lock. So there's that. And then, by the way, this next episode, I'm pretty sure, uh-oh. Did my camera battery just die? I thought I thought the battery was full. I just charged it. All right, hold on, guys. Also, the music went off. That's my bad. Or no, it didn't. Why did okay, hold on. A lot of things just went wrong. Whoopsies. Why are you not playing the music? If I do that one. No. Oh, that was bad. Why? What the heck? Oh, the music just went quiet. That's why. Okay, let's refresh it. Does that fix that problem? Did my Firefox just die? No. Okay, the music should be back now. Okay, the music's back. Let me fix my camera real quick. One sec. Okay, we're back. I was like 99.9% sure that battery was fully charged. I suppose not. I suppose 'twasn't fully charged. That's also the funny thing about this setup and how I have the camera cropped is usually it'll start blinking like right here. Like you can see just off screen that the battery is dying. And because of the way the camera's cropped, I don't see that. So, well, that battery's back on the charger, and I have another one. This is why I have two. So, anyway, we're going to continue on. As I was saying, this episode, I'm pretty sure, by the way, let me trust and verify here. This episode 9 here was the last episode to use the first opening they gave us. And then we switched to the new one, which is now officially, canonically, the shortest run of an opening and ending that we've ever gotten with My Hero, because season 1 had 13 episodes and this opening only had 9. So it's a short run, by the way. This one, just after skimming through it, was good. A lot of Endeavor and Hawks stuff and All for One. But this one, I think, was more of a setup episode for episode 10. So I'm going to put it in C. But really good C, because I still enjoyed it. So yeah, this one was good. I liked the stuff with Jiro at the end, and how like her and Tokoyami came in to help Hawks and Endeavor. Something this episode did that I did not fully understand, and this is another thing I appreciate about the anime, is clearing things up that may have been confusing in the anime or in the manga, is I didn't realize how bad the gash on Endeavor's side was. Like how deep of a cut that was. Because you see it in the manga of like that little whoop, and we're going to just cut him right across. But then when you watch the anime, you see like how big of a gash it is on his side. And then later in episode 10, I didn't even realize he lost an arm in the manga. Maybe that's just me not reading it close enough. But like in the manga, in the anime, he's got his arm tied up and he just rips his arm off and loses like his forearm up. And I was like, whoa, what? So that was crazy. And he was about to become All Might. I did notice that on the reread of like how Endeavor was, All For One was virtually trying to do to Endeavor the same thing he did to All Might. And I did recognize and notice that. And I thought that was a nice little nod there. And a very simple thing that I guess every #1 hero has to go through is just get your entire like side gouged out. So episode 10, this is the big Endeavor episode where he like does his prominence burn and he gets his big character development moment and he rips his arm off. And then after that, the other half of the episode is setting up for episode 11. I did really like this episode. I've gone back to it a couple times just because it's so good. And I'm going to put it up in A, like high A. I'm trying to reserve my S tiers here because S tier is a big accomplishment. But the prominence burn was really cool. And then is this the one? No, I'm sorry. That's the next episode. I should know that. I just rewatched it today. But it was great to see like the Bakugo and Shigaraki stuff. So that is what I have to say about that. Great episode. Episode 11, another S tier. Dare I say, better than episode 8. They handled Bakugo's death so well. I knew it was coming, but it got me a little choked up. Got me a little watery eyed. You know. It was good, and the way at the very end, right when Bakugo's about to die, they put like the faint heartbeat in right as he's about to. Oh, dude. What do you mean? It's crazy. We also got a lot of big 3 action in this episode. A lot of Amajiki. And it was just good. And the animation was not that I'm like an animation purist or like an animation snob, but it was good. They handled this adaptation of this episode so well because then they also show like the blue sky is very bright and visible. And then after that, when Bakugo dies, no. It's rainy. It's no bueno. It's not good. It's very sad. So, also, the way Bakugo looks like in this scene that I put out here, holy moly, guacamole. What a guy. That's, no. It's haunting. It's a little haunting to look at. I'm not even gonna lie. It's a little haunting to look at. And but yeah, overall, S tier episode. Episode 12, what do I remember about this episode? Bakugo dies. Oh, things are looking very dire. All for One's doing his regen thing. The Americans are like, we need to go. And he's like, no. And then Edgeshot's like, I'm going to save him. And then Shigaraki's like, hey, nobody tried to save me when I was a kid, but now this kid's dead and everyone's trying to save him. So, like, why are people doing that? And then Mirio decides to moon All for One as Shigaraki, which, like, completely throws him off. And then my goat comes back, Izuku Midoriya. Boom! Right at the end of the episode. They adapted that panel so well. Hold on, let me pull it up. I'll pull it up on my phone and I'll show you. This panel. I had a couple things on my wish list this season. Right here. This panel right here. I said, Bones, if you can handle this panel, bro, I'll be happy, because it's one of my favorites. And they nailed it. I love when they go into, like, the comic book shady art style and just make it look, oh, dude, it looks so good. There's a reason it's been my Twitter header for, like, 2 months now. So it's just so good. The most frustrating part about this stretch of episodes, though, was we got Bakugo's death, and then we had to wait 2 weeks because of the Olympics for episode 12. And then we got episode 12, and then we had to wait 2 weeks to get episode 13 because of the Olympics again. So it was like an excruciating wait for these episodes. But my oh my, was it worth it. I'll give this one, I'll give it a solid low A. I think it was good. And the Olympics weren't even that good. Like, the Olympics were lame. Oh, episode 13. Episode 13, bro. Bro. Is peak. This is the best episode of the season. For me personally, there was not a better episode than this. This felt like such a vindication and a comeback from that first Shigaraki fight where they just really fumbled. You know what I'm saying? Like, they fumbled that first one. But this one, oh my goodness. Nowhere near fumble. Nowhere near fumble. 10 out of 10. No, I'm sorry. 12 out of 10. Phenomenal episode. Dude, it's everything I could have hoped and wanted from this episode, from the adaptation of these chapters. This is like top 3 fights for me, right? And they nailed it. And I'm so happy because it looks incredible. Gear shift, incredible. Gear shift, yeah. Dude, I'm watching it on my phone and I'm trying not to get enraptured in how good it looks. Dude, it's so good. And then they played Yusei Run at the end. Like, I wish I could have recorded a reaction for that episode specifically, because I was like sitting in my room screaming when Yusei Run came on, because I didn't know anything about the episode. I saw a couple of the leaked preview images and I was like, okay, this looks good, but I'm gonna like temper my expectations. Like, I don't want to get my expectations too high. And then I saw that and I was like, oh yeah. We got Revengers as the OST in the first half, which also parallels that first Shigaraki fight, because Revengers is like the soundtrack for Revengers is the soundtrack that they used when Deku unlocked Float. So then for that soundtrack to kick in when Nana is like, he's still in there, go fight him, and then Shigaraki comes towards him, and then they kick the Plus Ultra version of that soundtrack on for this part of the, like, the first part of the fight was incredible. incredible. Because even if you think about the title of the soundtrack being Revengers, that's what Deku's doing right now. He is locked in. He is cooking All For One right now because All For One cooked everyone who was there. And he was like, all right, like he said, I'm not going to let you hurt anybody else. And then he goes ham. He goes crazy. And then, of course, You Say Run is You Say Run. And it's just, oh, dude. Goated. 10 out of 10. Phenomenal. I can't even be mad. Everyone except Mirio. Yeah, Mirio's the only one who kind of walked out of that unscathed. I mean, he got like... He gets emotional trauma from watching all of his friends almost die and Bakugo actually die in front of him. So, I don't know. There's that part too where he's like, oh no. So, that's all I'll say about episode 13. I could talk about it forever. I think they did the whole thing. I've watched this episode so many times. And they just... phenomenal. I need to move on. Otherwise, I'm going to get stuck watching it. All right. Episodes 14 and 15. I am not a huge fan of this. Like, I think it's a good arc, and I think it's handled really well. And I saw a lot of comments come out this season because it came out in the manga, and then it, like... That's the funny thing about reading the manga and being up to date is, like, controversy... will hit with the manga and then it'll run its way through the online internet sphere. And then when it comes around in the anime, you run through all of the same talking points again. And something that got brought up a lot was how this arc deals with racism and how there's like this angry mob. And I think this arc, or this like mini arc, right? This section with Shoji and Koda is a very truthful and accurate representation of how mob mentality works. Is because a couple really vocal people got up and said, all right, we're gonna go storm this hospital and get Kurogiri. And like, there was a lot of bad actors in there, but then there was a lot of just normal people who were upset and had this justified anger for how they'd been treated that got lumped in and riled up. And when they get to this hospital, they get to that point where all the doctors are holding hands, and they had to stop and think of like, why are we attacking a hospital? Like, and that was kind of Shoji's whole point, was like, hey, your feelings are valid. How you were treated is not right. That's not a good thing. People should not have treated you that way. But you need to do better than attacking a hospital with patients still inside. Like, that's not okay. So we need to find a better outlet for that. And I think that's incredibly accurate to real life, is a lot of people who protest aren't bad people. They're just people who want their voices heard, and they get riled up by bad actors or people who genuinely want to do harm. And you just need to show them like, hey, your feelings are valid, and you're valid in what you're feeling, but at the same time, you need to find a better outlet for it than trying to go after all of these innocent people. And like, the racism against the heteromorphs is a very realistic thing. Have you looked outside? Like, people are mean. People are mean and over stupid things like the way you look, right? So it's a plot line that makes sense. And like, I don't know. It's a good section of the story, and I don't think it deserves the hate that it got. That being said, the episodes are both going in B tier. Just because for me personally, it's not my I'm very vain in the sense of, we got to this arc and I was like, you know what I want? I want more Deku stuff, because I knew it was going to come in episode 16. And I was like, yeah, I want that. I don't want whatever's happening here. So can we go back to that? So, I mean, they're both good episodes. 15 gets a little higher just because they did kind of do that towards the end. It switched back from the shoji stuff. And we get the whole part where Hawks is like, kill all of the Twices right now. And then everyone went off on Hawks on Twitter for being like, oh, he's just a murderer who hates people. How could he say that? And it's like, do you understand? Okay, let's look at the context here. The Hawks did not want to kill Twice, right? He was very open and transparent about that in season 6. He did not want to kill Twice. He tried so many times, and even when he went to when he went to arrest Twice, he said, hey, I don't want to fight you. I don't want to kill you. Just come quietly. You can be a better person. He tried to offer that path of redemption to Twice and be like, hey, you can change. You can do better. I'm offering you this redemption, right? This ability to reform and change yourself. And Twice didn't want that. So then the next thing was, okay, to protect a bunch of other innocent lives and prevent innocent blood from being spilled on his account, he has to die. Because that is the only other way to stop him. And that prevented significant losses and damage in the first war. However, in the second war, that is not quite so true. Because you do, in these later episodes, see the full ramifications for Toga using the Sad Man's Parade. And that was her using his quirk through her quirk. Could you imagine how damaging and terrible that would be if it was his actual quirk? So I think Hawks is a little justified in saying, yeah, we need to get rid of him. So, yeah, episode 15 was good. I'll say that. Yeah, exactly. Twice could clone Gigantomachia and the others without a limit. Like, he really could. And that's problematic. Because you can't have unlimited Gigantomachias running around. So, for the sake of the greater good, we gotta cut that sucker off. So, next up is another goated episode. What can I say? I was very excited for this episode because, my goat comes back. My other goat, because we got Deku first, obviously. But then we get the return of the one, the only, the man of the hour, the man with the mustache. Gentle Criminal, come back. Dude, A tier. High A tier, dude. This episode is what it was all about. This episode is the culmination of the series. Because, one, phenomenal animation. They played Might Plus You, or a version of it, as Gentle was doing his thing. And if you know the lyrics to Might Plus You, and especially the version they use, because there's two versions. There's Might, which was used in Season 4, when Deku saved Eri, and then there's Might Plus You that was used in the movie. And they have different lyrics, but both of them equally apply to this situation. And it's like this full circle moment of, in Season 4, Deku does to Gentle what Twice was trying to do to Hawks. Or Hawks was trying to do to Twice. Sorry, I got them backwards. Deku was apprehending and saying, hey, Gentle, what you're doing is wrong. And you need to stop. But you're not a bad person. So you have to stop. And then Gentle gets arrested, and he goes to the cop guy, and he was like, hey, not a lot of people get a second chance. Not a lot of people get that second chance and that ability to restart their life. But he was offered that. And then he stopped all of the people in his prison from escaping. Like, he genuinely had a change of heart and changed for the better. And La Brava too, because of Deku showing them kindness and empathy. And this episode is the culmination of that, because then at the end, Lady Nagat comes back for a lot of those same reasons of when he fought her, he was like, hey, you're not a bad person. You've just walked down the wrong path. So let's get you back on the right path. And that changed her heart and turned her away from the path she was on. And, dude, phenomenal episode. This is what it's all about. Okay? Peak. Okay? Is good. I need to drink water more frequently. All right. Episode 17. That's not 11. My bad. What was in this episode? Deku goes to the ground. We get a little more gentle stuff. And then we switch back. Oh, this was the episode where they brought in Kami and the Gen Z lingo that everyone was angry about. Oh, no. Okay. All right. I'm going to give this episode a high B. I got to give him high B. All right, let me talk about the cringe Gen Z lingo in the dub. And this is a point that I saw brought up, and I think it's something that a lot of people forget. Is it's supposed to sound cringy and dumb. That's her character. She's supposed to sound cringy and dumb, like a valley girl who uses all the hip slang, and it's stupid and it's cringe, right? So there's that. But also, something that someone brought up was like, people will say the sub is better because they don't understand the Japanese slang. And how if you know the Japanese slang and you know the Japanese culture and the lingo that they use there, it's equally as cringy in the sub. But because we as sub watchers usually don't understand the Japanese dub and how that fits into their context, we're very quick to be like, oh, well, the dub sucks because it's cringy and lame and stupid. And without understanding the full context of, well, this is how it's pretty cringy in Japanese too. So that's what I have to say about that. Overall, the episode is pretty solid, and I don't know. I think they adapted it well. That's all I have to say about that. Moving on, we're about to hit another legendary run of episodes here. Let's see what is in this episode. This was the Mina stuff, Kirishima, and then Shinso comes in. Oh, this was the one that made all the movie characters canon, right? Right. This is the one that made all the movie characters canon. Yeah. Yeah. All right, guys. Argue with a brick wall. The movies are canon because there's Melissa, and then Katsuma and Mahiro, and then we get to see, I think, Rhodey's siblings from movie 3, and then Anna and Julio from movie 4. All right, guys. Argue with a brick wall. All the movies are canon. Deal with it. Other than that, this episode was good. I think it was all handled really well. We get to see a younger All For One, and that's pretty sick. Another one. This is that generational run. Oh no, Golden, we're not going down that route. Oh, also Mina is white? Oh my goodness, dude. That was some of the most frustrating stuff in the world. Hence why my video got 52,000 views, because I just said it's stupid. It's an anime. She's Japanese. Quit crying. Headcanons are ruining My Hero Academia. I won't go down the whole spiel, but you guys can watch the video. People do act up for no reason. It's so stupid. Yeah. It's dumb. Hawk's got his quirk stolen this episode. Overall, great episode. Now, I won't linger on that too long. We're going to wrap this up because I'm hitting my time limit. And we still have to do, at the very least, the season tier list. So, all right, episode 19. I don't need to watch these 3 because I remember what happened. I've seen all of these episodes twice, pretty much. All right, episode 19. S tier, better than the first Todoroki episode. Bones has the uncanny ability every time the Todorokis are on screen to just lock in, and that's where all the budget went. And you can very clearly tell. They just lock in. They're like, did somebody mention the Todorokis? I was unfamiliar with your game. Let's get the Todorokis in there. And they sure do. Another S tier episode. Shoto coming in with the buzzer beater at the very end. Great Glacial Aegis. That's not right. So that was pretty sick. That one was good. The Uraraka and Toga episode. All right, let me do my little soapbox about this episode. Because I think it was John mentioned earlier in the chat, total depravity. Don't side with Toga. Let me find it. You shouldn't sympathize with Toga. Yeah. Okay. So, I got in a very heated debate with someone on Twitter about this. Because watching this episode, I have a lot of thoughts about Toga as a character, and I legitimately thought about making a video, but I didn't have the time nor enough to script out about it because I kind of had the conversation and then moved on. So the conversation I was having was someone on Twitter was like, yeah, I think they should have just killed Toga. Like, point blank, knocked her out. Much like kind of treat her like twice. Where it's like, okay, she needs to die. Kill her. And my issue with that is that it kind of goes against the entirety of what the series is about. Because the series is about offering this redemption, or even not sympathy, but like empathy with these people who have fallen down the wrong path. And this episode does a lot to show how Toga ended up the way that she was. Now, Uraraka in this episode says, I can't excuse what you've done and the people you've killed. And you can kind of put Dabi and Toga in this argument together. But also Shoto says, I can't, like, you killed those people, referring to Dabi, you killed those people of your own volition. You did not have to kill them. What our dad did was bad, but it did not warrant you killing people. So to then say that Dabi should die, or like he has to die, is kind of counterintuitive to the entire point of the story. Because the story of My Hero is taking these villains and trying to make you sympathize with them, but also, I think, more so, it's trying to get you to empathize with them. You don't have to excuse... Like, I don't excuse everything Shigaraki did. I don't excuse everything that I don't excuse everything that the League did in general. I don't think Dabi or Toga should have gone around killing people. I don't think Shigaraki should have dusted an entire city and killed all of those people. Or Gigantomachia had gone on a rampage through Japan and destroyed all of this city. But what you can do is you can empathize with these people and understand how they got to that point. You can understand all of the abuse and the trauma that Dabi went through, and all of the mismanagement with her feelings that Toga went through, and being treated like this monster for not understanding how her own quirk and her feelings worked. So instead of getting her the help that she needed, they just pushed her away into a corner. And then you get shocked as to why she turned out that way? You're the one who put her in the box. So Or like Shigaraki, someone who was completely... Oh, it's so hard to talk about Shigaraki because there's a lot of manga stuff involved, and I'm trying to think about what the anime has shown so far. But Shigaraki, right? What we have seen of his backstory so far is this kid who didn't understand his own quirk, but was also physically and verbally abused by his dad, which is a terrible thing to happen to anyone, let alone a kid, right? And then his quirk explodes, and and when you see that, you understand how his family reacted to that. Like, his mom was still reaching out for him despite knowing that he was going to kill her with his quirk. That is what he wanted. He just wanted someone to help him understand what was going on. And having a lack of empathy for these villains is a problem. So to bring it back to Toga, like, yes, her parents caused that problem. If she had better parents and even better, like, counseling, right? You could have fixed that problem. You could have solved that issue and gotten her the help that she needed. And this is something that what I was going to relate to in the video was the Christian perspective on this and because Toga gets compared a lot to like the LGBTQ community, and my issue is Christians will often act like they do the like fire and brimstone approach to the LGBTQ community, and it's like, yes, that's truthful, but that's also such the wrong way to go about it. Because much like the villains in this story, they're people with feelings. And like, they're human beings. They're not these freak show monsters who are like gonna kill you. They're people who have wandered down the wrong path and need to be shown back in the right direction with this empathy and kindness. And that's what this story is about, is showing these people the empathy and kindness that they should have gotten. And for someone to insinuate that because Toga is a mass murderer and because she did all of these things that she's not worthy of any form of redemption or empathy is incredibly cold-hearted. And I don't know. It's such a wild take, and I would love to do a video about this and like expand upon this idea and actually script it out and fully flesh it out. But Toga's parents were very much at fault, but she is also equally responsible for the bad things she did. Like, she is equally responsible for the people she murdered and sucked their blood and all of this bad stuff, right? She is equally responsible for that. But you can also empathize with, like, the situation that got her to where she is now. And, like, both parties are to blame, but to ignore that first part of how she got to where she was is kind of, how do I want to, like, it's just ignorance to a certain degree. And yes, John, to your point, and that's kind of what I was saying, is like, she is still responsible for all of the bad things she did. Just like Dabi is still responsible for all those things. Shigaraki is still responsible for all those things. But you can also empathize with, like, hey, your parents were kind of messed up for treating you the way they did. Those counselors were messed up for treating you the way they did. Over something that you didn't really have control over. Like, she didn't have control over her quirk as a kid. She didn't understand that. She was just a confused kid. And what she needed was parents who would come alongside her and say, okay, I understand you're confused. And you can still be like, hey, it's not okay to, like, suck people's blood and, like, go kill animals and suck their blood. Like, that's not okay. So let's try to find a different outlet for that. Or let's help you process through this and just, I don't know. And that's why I think Uraraka is such a great balancer to that dynamic of her being like, hey, I was in that category of like, you're a freak, you're weird, you're weirding me out, man. Quit trying to suck my blood. But then the more she learned about and started to empathize with her, is she was like, okay, I'm sorry that all those things happened. I can't excuse what you did, but I'm sorry that all of those things happened, and you just needed someone to come alongside you and help you walk through that and help you get through that. And I want to be that for you, even if it's too late to like, and I don't know. It's such a good aspect of the story. And the person I got in a dispute with on Twitter, like, hates this part of the story, and he hated how it was paced. And I'm like, I think it's fine. And that's what spurred on that whole rabbit trail. So overall, this episode was pretty solid. It's another one I would give, I would give it a pretty solid, like, middle of A. So yeah, it's good. It's good. So last episode, final episode of season 7, which did feature a lot of Toga and Uraraka stuff in the first half. I think they pretty cleanly split this episode into 2 parts, and I can appreciate them for that. So, okay, episode 21. Obviously, the big kicker here is Armored All Might versus All for One. Dude, goated with the sauce. What can I say? Goated with the sauce. They nailed it. They knocked it out of the park. This is aside from the Deku fight up here, right? Aside from this is the one section of this season that I was really looking forward to, because I love the concept of All Might getting this Iron Man suit that has all of the moves based off of Class 1A, and like, it was so good. I'm looking at it right now, and I've watched it 3 times today because the dub came out. It's so good. It's so good. Oh, it gives me chills every time, and I think it was adapted well. Some people complained that All Might's suit was CGI'd at first, and then after that it went back to the hand-drawn and looked weird. And I don't know, man. I think it looked fine. I think it looked great. And the way they were able to do this episode speaks volumes to that. So it was adapted very well. I'm not at all upset with how they adapted this episode. They ended very strong. I knew they were going to end on a cliffhanger, and I think they picked the most natural spot they could, because they could have ended with the Toga Uraraka stuff, but that like would not have been as impactful of a cliffhanger, if you know what I mean. So, like, to have it be All Might and now Deku are both, like, facing off against All for One and Shigaraki, and having that successor fight, that's a much better cliffhanger for Season 8, or a cliffhanger for Season 7 into Season 8, that I think, anything else. So they picked the best spot they could. The whole fight looked great. And I'm incredibly excited to see how they wrap it up next season. So, yeah, that's my tier list for Season 7. As you can see, not really a bad episode. Like, Episode 4, and it's not even a bad episode. It's just the least good. And it's still, like, none of them are D tier, as you can see. So, I don't know. So that's that. All right, we've got that. But now, let's go through and we'll do the season tier list and rank all the seasons. And then I'll talk about Season 8 a little bit. And then We'll get out of here. Clean 2 hours ish. I'm thinking. Methinks. All right, let's rank all the My Hero seasons real quick. Season 1, pretty solid introduction, honestly. I rewatched it this year. I think it's a solid first adaptation, right? We're starting off really strong. Season 2, I really got to think about how much the Culture Festival arc... I'm sorry, not the Culture Fest. The Sports Festival. The tournament arc carries this season. I'm gonna say also, I'll say A, but higher than season 1, just because I do really like the Stain arc too. So I think that's good. Season 3, I call me a fake fan. I don't like the provisional licensing exam arc. I think that's going to get it in B tier at least because of how long the pacing is in the provisional licensing exam and how long they took to get there. It was such a slog. The first half of the season is phenomenal. The summer camp and then the All Might versus All for One. And, like, dude, first half of the season, dude, so good. And then you hit the provisional license, and it's like, oh, we've slowed down to a snail's pace. So it was, yeah, that's rough. That's rough, buddy. You're getting B tier at least. At least. Season 4, S. Easy S. I love season 4. It's 2 of my favorite arcs back to back. And I don't know. It would go to with the sauce. Season 5. Can I? All right, I'm putting it in C tier. I'm so dissatisfied with the adaptation for this season. I really am. Like I said earlier, I don't like that they switched the arcs. Even though I think it flows better narratively, I don't like that they switched the arcs. The Class 1A versus Class 1B dragged on way too long. And it could have been condensed down a little bit more. And then My Villain Academia just got completely snubbed at the end and deserves so much better in terms of the production schedule. And I don't know. I can't do that. You can't. You got to miss me with that. I just realized my colors are not accurate. What am I listening to? Oh, we've been listening to Zelda Lo-Fi for like a half hour. I don't know how I missed that. I'm sorry. That's on me. I'm not on my game tonight. I didn't do better. And then this is blue. Not that blue. This blue. This blue. This blue. There we go. And then you need to be purple. There we go. Okay. Season 6. Okay. It was going to get A. Because the second half of Season 6 is phenomenal. It's great. And honestly, the war arc is not that bad. But, because of how they did that Deku Shigaraki fight, I can never put it higher than B. Because that was such an important fight and such an important part of the manga. And they just butchered the adaptation like nobody's business. I can't do that, bro. No. And then obviously season 7, as the title suggests or the thumbnail suggests, yes, it is the best season yet. So that's my tier list there. And what? Okay, so let me talk about season 8 for a little bit, and then we'll jump out of here, and I will let you guys go back to your Saturday evening. I think season 8 legitimately has the potential to be the best season of My Hero. I think it can surpass season 7 if they continue adapting it the way they have been. And I'm obviously speaking out of a lot of personal bias, and here's what I'll tell you is, without spoiling the manga, there's a lot of Deku focus that's going to be in this final season, just off of the nature of where the story is going. That's all I'm going to say. And I am really excited to see how that all gets adapted, because it's legitimately my favorite part of the story. And when I saw that final season announcement, like, trailer, when you see Deku in that pose, I started screaming in my room, because that is one of my favorite panels that they're now using for the key visual for the final season. So I do really think this could be the best. It really could be the best season. And I want it to be the best season. I really do. I want them to finish strong, because there's been so much controversy about the ending, and I just want the anime to clear all of that up and to be this phenomenal ending to a phenomenal series. And I want them to have the consistent quality. And I think they will, because they announced it for 2025 already. We don't know when. My assumption is that it's going to be sooner than normal, because normally when they do an announcement of a new season, they'll say like 7th season in production, 6th season on the way. They don't specify a year. The assumption is that it's the following year, but it could always get delayed to like the beginning of the following year or whatever. But for them to say specifically 2025 means that I think they're a lot further along in production than we think they are, because they also only have to do half a season in a year. So I'm hopeful that they keep the same production schedule of a year, and then just let those 13 episodes have that room to breathe, because it's a lot. It's intense. And manga readers know what I'm talking about. It's intense, and there's a lot to be adapted there that they need that time for, and I'm hopeful they take the time. As much as I want it now, and as much as I want to see it now, we do need to wait. And I think having that year is going to be incredibly great for this series. And I think it's going to end well. And there's a lot about the ending that, like, even the last chapter, I'm excited to see how they adapt it in the anime. And just trying to think about that makes me, like, super excited. So the extra pages coming out in the manga. Oh, yeah, that's right. They're getting like 40 to 50 extra pages, which is almost like, what, it's like 4? No. If we say 40 pages, that's almost like 3 full chapters extra. So we'll see how that goes. Have I seen new Horikoshi art? Did he post today? I haven't seen anything. I know he didn't do a art for the last episode yet. Let's see. I need to find... Ooh, I need to go back and watch that. What are we... Oh. You know what I want most from these final adaptions or editions? I want Horikoshi to put an end to the shipping war. I need him to end that. I need him to cut that off, please. I'm so sick of the shipping discourse, dude. Wow, Horikoshi literally didn't do. He didn't do an art for the last one. So yeah, they are doing an art book for My Hero, which I will definitely be picking up because Horikoshi has some of the best art in Jump. He still hasn't done one for the All Might and All for One fight, and I'm curious why he skipped that episode and didn't finish, unless he's like crunching deadlines for this, like getting this done, because I know the volume comes out in like a month and a half. It comes out in December, and which is going to be so interesting because all the extra content is not going to be immediately translated to English because it's a volume. It's not it's not new chapters that are being digitally put on Jump. It's like physically in the volume. So we're going to have to rely on fan translations for like 6 months until we can get actual English translations that are official, which if there's anything ship related in there that doesn't have associating panels to go with it, is just going to fuel the fire even more. Gah. What a time to be alive. So yeah, that's I think we're gonna wrap up tonight's stream there. We got a good tier list in, had a lot of good convos about My Hero. We unfortunately did not get to the one shot, but I should probably go read that on my own time. So that being said, thank you to everybody who showed up to the stream tonight. Can I get a refocus? There we go. Now I'm actually in focus. Also, huge shout out to John Bass for the 10 gifted members, and shout out to everyone who is a member now. Enjoy those perks, and if you like them, maybe consider staying a member. Just a thought, just saying. Maybe you should. So that's all I got. If you're watching the VOD, thanks for watching. I do want to do more streams like this in the future where we just kind of get on and talk about and discuss anime. I think the next one I'll do like this will probably just be a big wrap up on anime this year. And because we're getting close to the end of the year, so that one will probably be in December, because I am, if you didn't know, streaming over on Twitch a lot now. So we're going to take a break from streaming on YouTube for a while and migrate over to Twitch for a little bit, because I want to do a lot of games and I don't want to detract from the channel per se. But yeah, that's the plan right now, is just we're going to go playing Twilight Princess over on Twitch. I got a couple other games I want to do. And we'll see how that goes. So, but for now, thank you everybody for watching. If you're watching the VOD, thank you for sticking around. Come check out some live stuff sometime. Members, look forward to the video for Wednesday. The next video will be available to members sometime tomorrow, if I ever remember to do it. I did not remember last week, so it will be up for members soon. I just got to finish some stuff on the back end. But aside from that, thank you again, everyone, for watching, and I will see you guys next time. Peace out.